The following review contains significant plot spoilers. Please watch at your own risk.
Do you notice anything?
Not yet.
She has a lovely mouth, that Anita.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Harm or no harm, I have to pull that trigger.
You think you can? You got one shot, remember?
It'll have to do.
Quick, he's coming.
That pays many debts.
She should have kept her mouth shut.
Hello everyone, Ryan Dahl returns here, continuing my James Bond review series with Week 2, bringing you a review of the second official James Bond film, From Russia with Love. This film was released in 1963 and starred Sean Connery as James Bond 007. After the success of Dr. No in 1962, a sequel was soon approved and to be released the following year. Little did people know that this next James Bond adventure would be one of the best, or arguably the best, of the entire series, even after 49 years. From Russia with Love starts off with the traditional gun barrel sequence, followed by the first pre-title sequence in the series, or PTS for short. The PTSs are a fun way to start off each Bond film, usually with a lot of action. In some films, the PTSs don't have anything to do with the main plot, and show Bond doing various assignments. This film's PTS, however, does involve the plot. The plot of this film is very good and genuinely interesting. The plot follows criminal organization Spectre and their plans to steal a device known as a Lecter from the Soviets and sell it back to them. Spectre also wants revenge on James Bond for killing one of their top agents, Dr. No, as seen in the first film. Bond films are usually their own stories with no references to previous films, although From Russia with Love doesn't follow this trend. Anyways, we are introduced to Bond's arch-nemesis in this film, number 1 of the Spectre organization. His name isn't revealed in this film, nor is his face, so I won't reveal his name until later in my review series. Other villains introduced are Spectre's planning officer, Kronstein, played by Vladek Sheybal, Spectre number 3, Rosa Klebb, played by Lot Lenya, Spectre's personal trainer, Morzeni, played by Walter Gotell, and finally Assassin Red Grant, played by Robert Shaw. Rosa Klebb is really the main villain in this film, while Red Grant is the main henchman. Rosa Klebb recruits a Russian cipher clerk named Tatiana Romanova, played by Daniela Bianchi, into the plan, although she is completely unaware of Spectre's goals. Tatiana is the main Bond girl in this particular film. Bond travels to Istanbul after learning that Tatiana wants to defect with the Lecter, but only to Bond. We learn that the Lecter is an important device which MI6 and the CIA have been after for years. Bond meets up with ally Karen Bay, played by the late Pedro Armendariz, and the pair do the usual spy work. After an exciting gypsy camp battle, Bond returns to his hotel to see Tatiana laying on his bed. You can probably guess what happens next. The next day, Bond and Tatiana steal the Lecter and escape on the Orient Express with Karen Bay. Unfortunately, Karen is murdered off-screen by Red Grant shortly afterwards. After the Orient Express stops at Zagreb, Red Grant impersonates a fellow MI6 agent and meets with Bond. After Bond finds out that his fellow MI6 agent is really an assassin working for Spectre, the two have a brutal fight while on board the Orient Express. I should also note that Connery and Shaw did pretty much all the stunts in this sequence by themselves. Talk about dedication. Anyways, after that exhilarating fight sequence, Bond kills Grant, and he and Tatiana get off the train. After destroying an enemy helicopter, Bond and Tatiana board a powerboat and drive off. Meanwhile, number 1 has Kronstein killed by Morzeni for failing his plan, and orders Morzeni and Klebb to finish the job. Rossetti goes after Bond in a short boat chase and ends up being killed when Bond fires a flare gun at his boat. After that, Bond and Tatiana get to Venice and check into a hotel. Rosa Klebb is there disguised and attempts to take the Lecter, but is shot and killed by Tatiana. Bond and Tatiana ride in a gondola afterwards as the film ends. The acting in this film is great. Sean Connery definitely feels more comfortable in this film and makes people believe that he is really this character of James Bond 007. Daniela Bianchi is gorgeous and does a good job of playing Tatiana. Her voice was dubbed in this film due to her strong Italian accent, but the dubbing is so good that you probably couldn't even tell. M and Moneypenny are back with a few more memorable scenes, along with Major Boothroyd, this time played by the late great Desmond Llewellyn. Boothroyd gives Bond his very first gadget in the entire series, a briefcase filled with deadly accessories including a throwing knife, a folding sniper rifle, and tear gas. All of these accessories are used in the film and are used quite well in my opinion. Boothroyd would appear in the next film but would be reintroduced as Q, head of Q Branch and gadget maker. This film has a spectacular ensemble of villains and henchmen. Robert Shaw is brilliantly cast as the tall, blonde wrecking machine Red Grant, and Lot Lenya makes Rosa Klebb very menacing. The lesser-known henchmen, Kronstein and Morzeni, are played very well for the small parts that they are given, especially Kronstein. The way that he looks and talks is pretty menacing. Walter Gotell, who plays Morzeni, would later appear in 6 more James Bond films, although as a different character. Pretty cool stuff. As far as allies go, Felix Leiter isn't in this film, but in his place we get my favorite Bond ally of all time, Karen Bay. Pedro Armendariz plays this part gracefully. Unfortunately, during filming, Pedro was diagnosed with cancer and was in obvious pain during some of his scenes. Most actors would quit, but Pedro went on with his scenes as if nothing was wrong. Talk about badass. In a sad turn of events, however, he took his own life after filming all of his scenes due to the pain. May this man rest in peace for the tremendous job he did in this film. Many of the problems that I had with Dr. No were fixed in From Russia with Love. There is never a dull moment, and the plot is very captivating. The locations this time around are a big improvement with exotic locales such as Istanbul and Venice, plus awesome set pieces such as a Spectre training ground and a gypsy camp. Also, there's the Orient Express. Every scene on the Orient Express is pretty much completely awesome. The last big improvement over Dr. No would be the fight sequences. There's plenty more of them this time around, and therefore much more explosions. My personal favorite fight sequence is Bond and Grant on the Orient Express, although the battle at the gypsy camp is pretty sweet too. From Russia with Love is not only a perfect Bond film, but a perfect film in general, and all casual moviegoers should definitely see this one. As far as Bond films go, it's not actually my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 5 and one of the best. I give From Russia with Love a perfect score of 10 out of 10. Now I'm going to share 5 things that I really liked about this film. I actually couldn't think of anything that I disliked about this film except maybe Kronstein having such a small role, but that's only a minor complaint. Anyways, here's the things that I really liked. I liked how we got the first glimpse of Spectre Leader Number 1, and we are treated to an excellent ensemble of villains. Next, Pedro Armendariz as Karen Bay. The man did a terrific job. The whole gypsy camp sequence was awesome. Everything on the Orient Express was awesome, and pretty much everything after the Orient Express was awesome. Needless to say, I love this film, and it only gets better every time I watch it. I could go on about this film all day, but this review has been going on for quite a while now, so I'll stop. Stay tuned next week for the film that propelled James Bond into superstardom, Goldfinger.